Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to talk to us a few minutes about non dual realization, about non attachments. Um, we have three states um, that is within us. Um, And those states are being, consciousness, and bliss. Um, as we continue to learn more about ourselves and to uh, come to discover or recognize who we truly are, um, then we come to the understanding or the realization uh, or to experience that these are states that we have in us that are non-dual. Um, um, how do I want to put that? These are states that we have within us that is non-dual. Our conditioning, because we have been conditioned, our conditioning began when we were very young. And these states being conditioning, consciousness and bliss are states that are unchangeable, they're imperishable, um, they're you can't, unmovable. Uh, these are states that are solid, um, and nothing that's in the uh, physical world or in the world of the kingdom world uh, can alter these things. Our being is not affected um, by what goes on uh, outside of it, I guess you would say. Uh, our because of our conditioning, um, we find ourselves not being able to be stable. Uh, we move, with our imaginations, our mental images, our memories, our past, our future, and that all belong to mind, to our minds, and our experiences that we have, and the hardship and happiness that we have in our life all belongs to the physical world. And all of those things are transitory. And they always will be. They're not stable. And when, you know, I mentioned that we all need to come home so that we can rest and have stability, because we're always stable, but because we project out all the time trying to make things or wanting things to be the way that we imagine them or what our intention is. In our ideas and our plots, it keeps us projecting outside of ourselves, and that's all conditioning. All of those things have been added to us. We didn't come in with the conditioning that we have. We receive these conditionings one way or the other as we or while we or as we are traveling through the earthly kingdom. And I think, I mean, with the mind, I don't want to say that I think, but because of our mind, not to say that the mind is a bad thing, but the mind is not our friend when we allow our minds to tell us who we are, what we can be, what we can become, what we can't become. And this is where we need a solid foundation, and it's in our kingdom. It's in our being. Being abides in itself. Being is existence, existing. Being don't, it doesn't do anything. Being don't have anything to do. It's just being. It's just like the floor being. The floor don't care that you walk on it. The floor is just being. Just like the wall is being. The wall don't care if you hang a TV on it or if it's just being. And it's just like a door. You can, a door you can open or close a door. A door don't care, it's just being. And we have that stability inside of us, and that's our true existence. We're just being. What goes on in the physical kingdom does not affect the being. It affects the person that we believe that we are. And the things in the kingdom, when we are disturbed by those things, the concepts, the mental images that we have, the ideals that we have, the imaginations that we have, being don't mix with those things because it's just being. Those are projections that we have when we're projecting outside of our being because we don't recognize or we're beginning to recognize or we're trying to recognize or we want to recognize that we are just a being. And I hope that I have shown in one way or another, giving a clear example of what being just is. Because when we're not in our head, in which, I don't even know how to say that because I don't really want to, oh my God. I don't want to say it wrong, but when we're in our head, we never get to experience our being. Just being, that's all, just being. And being is existence. It exists. It just is not doing anything and it's not affected by anything. Things may come and go, or we may observe or be observant of things that we can see in our being, but the being itself is not affected. And consciousness. Consciousness knows itself. Consciousness knows itself. Consciousness knows that it is conscious. Consciousness is presence, and it's aware of itself. Consciousness also is not affected by anything that goes on outside of it or in the world. It's aware of it, but it doesn't affect consciousness. because consciousness knows it is, or it is the isness. Consciousness knows that it is the isness, and consciousness knows that it's conscious. And consciousness knows that it is the I am. I wish it was some kind of way. It's kind of hard to for me to find words to be able to explain consciousness, because it's experience. Consciousness has to be experienced and recognized and discovered by the individual, because it's non-dual, just like being. You can't describe it. It's hard for me to describe, I'll put it like that, because it doesn't have a shape or it doesn't have a form. But it's, and it's not like it doesn't exist. It does, because we're conscious of the things that goes on around us. That's probably, I don't know. Consciousness, maybe I can explain it like this. Consciousness knows what it's not, just as well as consciousness knows itself. It knows that it's not a body, it's not a form, it's not a shape. Consciousness knows that it's not a female, it's not a male. Consciousness doesn't have feelings or emotions, so it's nothing that can be done that will cause a response from consciousness, because consciousness is what it is. It knows itself. It's conscious of its own being, I guess you would say, that it exists. And when you say I am, then you're saying that I, consciousness, am, exist. I, consciousness, am, exist. Consciousness know also that it has never been born, and it has never, if it's never been born, then it cannot die. And that's what we are. We are spiritual beings in a fleshly body, or we are consciousness, I guess I would say, in a conscious being in a physical body. And I want to say a little bit more about bliss also. I hope that I am really doing a good job, because it's hard to try to describe, and I believe that's why it's hard for us to discover, because we're so used of being in a physical world where there is shapes and forms and things moving, transitory movements all the time, that when it comes to our spiritual kingdom, we can't recognize it because it can't be seen with the physical eyes, or because it doesn't have shape or forms, or it doesn't move. But like I was sharing with you before about bliss, repose in itself. It is at rest in its own bliss self. And that bliss self, because and this is not the reason why it's able to, but because it knows that it's happy about itself, because it knows that its consciousness, and it knows that it abides in itself. It knows that consciousness, that it abides in itself, that it's a being that is conscious, that abides in itself. And that brings about the bliss in the individual, or the bliss that is in each one of our, and I hate to say individual kingdom, but when we're, because we have these forms, we see each other as other. So that's why I'm saying in each individual kingdom, consciousness is aware of it, being is aware of its consciousness, and consciousness is aware of it just being. And that brings about self bliss, or the bliss of the self, recognizing the self, recognizing who it truly is, or the self discovering or knowing who it truly is, outside of conditioning, because consciousness and being has never, it has never been conditioned because it hasn't been born. Only the body has been born. Let me see. And because consciousness and consciousness being a being, okay, it's not, has full bliss because it's not because it's imperishable, it's immutable, it's unchangeable. There's no time, there's no future, there's no past, there's nothing to be or nothing to become. Consciousness knows that because consciousness is. It's being, it knows what it is. And it's nothing to become. It's no judgments there. It's no memories there. It's no past there. Because those things are transitory and they belong to the physical world. They don't belong to the spiritual kingdom. And it's nothing wrong with those things in themselves. It's just that those things are part of our conditioning. Because we think that we do die and that we is imperishable, not imperishable, but that we are perishable, and that we have a future and a past and a memory. All of these things were added unto us as we grew up in the earthly kingdom. And that is our conditioning. And when I talk about us being eclipsed, those are the things that has us eclipsed, has us veiled, is those things that's transit. They're moving, and we're chasing them, and because we don't, or we haven't come to recognize who we truly are. Those things, our conditioning is all mind. I guess I will say it's all mind stuff. You're getting older. You need to get a better job. You're perishing. You're perishable. You're constantly changing. The body's changing. You're getting older. These things just we're chasing all of these things, thinking that we can outrace time. But time belongs to the physical kingdom. It don't belong to the spiritual kingdom. And this kingdom is ruled by time. Nothing is eternal in this kingdom. Not even our physical bodies. We have not been born. So we cannot die because we're pure consciousness. We're a being. The body's going to die because the body was born. The body is the one who has the birth certificate. It has the duration of life, and it receives a death certificate at the end. But consciousness that's in the body has never been born. I don't want to really get into that part of it, so I'm going to say it like this, and then I'm probably going to have to drop it. But our consciousness rotates. You're who you are. Let's say that you're John. Okay, so you're John maybe 14 to 16 hours out of the day. And then you rotate into your dream state. Then you go into deep sleep. And then when you come back in, because if you cease, we never cease to exist, but if you cease to exist in this physical form, this body, if you cease to exist in it, then you cease to know the world as it exists, because you have no body to rotate back into. It's not that you cease to exist because we're imperishable, but because we don't have a body to come to rotate back in and to be able to have our experiences through, which is through, all of our 5 senses, in which the 6 with the mind, the 5 senses external, and the 6th sense, mind, internal. And those are our sensations are what causes us to have, that allow us to have an existence when we rotate in here. I hope I haven't really I hope I haven't really threw anybody off track when I said that, but we're rotating all the time. And the only time that you have a name or a mother or a father or a husband or a brother or a sister or a job or a house or a car or a job or money, or is when consciousness enters back into the body. If consciousness don't enter back into the body, then the world ceases to exist as far as you know it, because you're not rotating back in. I hope I have said something that will cause us to want to be more involved in our kingdom. And I hope that what I am trying to share has been received by those of them, which is all of us that can hear it. But we all hear things at different times, because there's no respect of person. Let me see if there's anything else I might want to say, because I ain't follow nothing for real. I guess not. I guess it's not anything else that I really want to say at this time. But I just wanted to come and share, some more of the thoughts that I have about us. And I just want to leave you with this one thing, that if you don't remember anything that I have said, because I'm really trying to do the best that I can. And sometimes, at times, it's just really hard because I don't want to say what I have to go up against, because I don't go up against anything to be able to share it, but it's just so hard to be able to find the words, because I don't want what I'm sharing to fall upon deaf ears. I want to be able to, by saying it several different ways, that that all of us would be able to hear it. But I do want to say this, and I want to leave you with this here one thing. What you are looking for, no matter what it is, that is non-dual. What you are looking for is where you are looking from. Your being, your consciousness, and your bliss is where you are looking from. So what you are looking for is where you are looking from. Make sure that you always remember, because I know that we have mind attacks at times, or from time to time, and a lot of us deal with that all the time. Make sure that you always continue to come back home. That's where stability is. That's our stability. It's within us. It's not outside of us. And as we continue to grow and discover that light will become brighter. Please contemplate what I have shared with you. Because it's so, so important. By us just understanding one thing, it changes so much in the world. Because we are pure consciousness. So I hope that each and every one of us is having a nice day. And I hope that I have said something to help to lighten your path. The path of your journey. I hope that I have said something to lighten the path of your journey. And I hope to be talking with you soon. And you have a wonderful day, and don't forget, what you are looking for is where you are looking from. Look inside. We're there. No matter what our conditioning might tell us about ourselves, we are there. Where we're looking from is our answer. Well, you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you will share what we have been talking about with someone. And also, if you haven't done so, I would like for you to subscribe to my channel. And I hope to be talking to you again real soon. You have a wonderful day.